Hey everybody, welcome to Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. My name is Reed with Best Made Videos. We are a wedding videography company based out of West Seattle, Washington. And I'm joined today by, I think, a longtime friend. I think we've talked and gone back and forth, and I'm sure we've worked together in the past. I can't remember when, but it's my good friend Peter Wright with Wright Weddings. And I want to thank you so much for taking time today. We always... The one problem with doing a wedding vendor podcast is during the summer, wedding vendors tend to not understandably have time to do it. But I appreciate the ones that do and the really dedicated ones. And I do think it speaks to, people's dedication and commitment and, doing that sort of thing. So thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, like you said, Reed, my name is Peter Wright, and I own and operate Wright Weddings, which is primarily a wedding entertainment service. And we're based out of Seattle, or Tacoma, but I say Seattle.
Yeah. Say Seattle. Yeah. And so what is it about, kind of weddings, DJ, what kind of interests you, gets your blood pumping and keeps you kind of doing it every weekend?
Yeah. I think one thing that I look forward to about each wedding is making it really customized and unique to the client that I'm working with. So I don't, not to say that I don't have formulas, but the formulas take new shape and new ideas depending on, the client's personality and the story that they want to tell. It really is, it's a spotlight on the couple, how to tell their love story, how to bring out their personality, make them the star of the show. That's my job as I see it. And yeah.
And when you, kind of the whole DJ kind of MC nowadays, where you're kind of, leading people through the night, but also kind of, like you said, you want, the couple to be the star. I mean, how do you kind of balance that to make sure that everyone kind of knows what's going on, but also letting kind of the evening unfold?
Yeah. Well, I think, somebody once said, I think it's right on, that success is, 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration, or something like that. So I work a lot of hours behind the scenes, planning everything out, having discussions, dialogues, creating all the Google documents, et cetera, et cetera. And then I always want the couple, from their perspective, to feel like they could throw anything out if they want, and I'm not going to hold on to it. If they're just enjoying their guests and it's time to do the, whatever, cake cut, I just say, keep going and we'll figure it out, or we'll cut something out later. It's all about, making that day be as special and flawless and painless, really enjoyable for the client. So it's both. I plan really well, but I'm willing to let things go in the moment too, when necessary. I had a situation, honestly, that I never thought would happen. The mother of the bride left to bring her mother home, and it was supposed to be the mother-son dance. And they're looking at me like, is this a problem? I said, absolutely not. We'll just, when she gets back, we'll do it. We'll switch the order up. So that's just kind of one example of, being willing to go with the flow in the moment, but having enough activities planned so that it never feels dull at the same time. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's people, same with video, people are always looking, trying to find, cheap DJs, cheap video, whatever. And, obviously besides, equipment and, experience, it obviously sets, professionals apart. It is also that sense of planning, right? That I think a lot of people, for me too, they think, oh, you just kind of show up and film what's going on. And for you, you just kind of hit play. And it's like, no, there's way a lot more that kind of goes into that behind the scenes that they don't even realize, right?
Sure. And even communicating with somebody like yourself ahead of time, making sure that you have the timeline, the photographer has the timeline, especially a guy like me, I don't do things necessarily traditional way, so things might seem a little out of place, out of order. So I want to make sure that the people documenting the day kind of know how to roll with me too. I've never actually used it, but after a certain wedding last year, I even bought some of those wireless headsets, thinking I might start implementing that so that I could talk to I always bring an assistant, who I actually call the DJ. I'll jump into that maybe a little bit later, but it's my weddings are 99% of the time a two staff, and I can talk a little bit more about my philosophy on that.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that? Talk about, like you said, walk me through that. I mean, set that up for people that don't know who you are and kind of how you operate. And you said you do things a little different. So kind of give me the brushstrokes. I'm ready for it.
Broad strokes. So if you look at my website, wrightweddings.com, I have a quick little synopsis that says, what does unforgettable wedding entertainment look like? And I liken it to a fancy restaurant where you get the price fixed menu and you just pay the one price, and then you get all these fabulous dishes brought out to you. That's kind of the metaphor I use for my wedding packages. So everything that I put into that is because I've seen them work really well, either get a lot of laughs or get tears and, bring out the romance. So I really try to convince my clients, or not have to convince them, but I really try to show them an idea that how am I gonna do that? It's one thing just to say you're gonna have an unforgettable night, but what can I do as an entertainer? Again, with the focus, putting it back on you to showcase who you are as a couple, what your love story is. So let me just roll right down. One of the nice things that I like to put together is a slideshow. I call it the Coming Together slideshow, and pretty much everybody these days has photos of themselves, somewhere on a hard drive, or even if they're printed, I can scan them, starting all the way back to their childhood. And then, some dating photos, maybe an engagement session. We put those all together and usually run that during a cocktail hour or even dinner. That's a nice way just to kind of, I think, start the story, right? Where did these two people come from? They probably have totally different backgrounds and totally different families, life, and they found themselves here on this day. So that's kind of the first piece of the first course, if you want to continue the metaphor. Moving right along. Of course, there's music selections. That's the DJ part. And, if I was going to put a percent value on it, it's probably about 30% of the job is to pick great music and help make suggestions when the bride and groom are searching for something. So, everything from ceremonies to dinner music to first dances. We can customize all that, obviously, to what the couple likes, and I can make suggestions when they're kind of struggling. Then we have the custom created voice overlays. And no one ever knows what this is until I explain it to them. I no one have to perform at wedding. Don't worry. It's all pre-recorded. You go out in your backyard, have a beer, have a whiskey, whatever your pleasure, and say it's like the first dance. I have the groom record a nice heartfelt message to his bride that she doesn't get to hear until the day of the wedding, and vice versa. The bride records a message for her groom, and then I mix it in with their first dance and some little audio magic, grabbing an instrumental version so that the music drops out, or I should say the lyrics drop out while the overlay is playing. And it really works. It looks amazing for the first dance. It works great for the father-daughter, mother-son dance. I've just seen the tears start flowing when the mother hears her son saying what she's meant to him, or the father and daughter. So I play a couple of those during my consultation, and more often than not, it's something like this. Probably these days, doing it via video chat or something like that. I'd say maybe 25% of the time we get to actually meet in person. I do prefer that. I think it's really important to meet your wedding DJ, quote unquote. So jumping out of that for a moment, wedding DJ, to me, is the person who stands behind that booth and plays great music and does the cues right on time. But what happens when it's time for the father-daughter dance and the dad's not there? Is that person now has to make a decision? I'm going to leave my X $1,000 setup here to go try and find the father of the bride, and sure enough, when you come back, there's like one or two dudes like staring, at the screen, or maybe even touching your computer, and that's not a situation you want to be in, especially at a wedding. So that would be one of the reasons I would say a two-person team is really important. There's so much I'm doing as the MC/host running around that I could never do if I didn't have someone, holding down the music. And I know that people would say, oh, we got playlists now and you got iTunes. And I'm like, yeah, you do. But it doesn't make up for the fact when Uncle Steve comes over with his beer in his hand and, kind of wants to like look at what's going on. So that's essential, I actually would say, at least to the way I do things. Everything from organizing the grand entrance to, checking in with the bride and groom. Hey, this is the time we should be visiting the tables, or can I get you a glass of water? I mean, I like I said, I am there to make your day everything that you imagine it to be. And I'm also there as, I'm jumping all over the place here.
That's okay. It's okay. You're good.
As I said, the DJ now part is taken care of, so I'm now able to be the, what I call, entertainment director, which essentially means I'm going to make sure that everything we planned happens in time and space. Maybe not exactly on the time that we planned, like I said, but I'm going to get it in one way or another, and I'm going to make sure everybody's having a good time. And I'm moving constantly. I don't stay behind the booth. I'm out, and I'm reading the room. Got little hand signals with the DJ. Hey, I need more mic. I need more music. It's great. It's really fun, and it's it's a bit of a haul, honestly, at the beginning and the end too. Now it's 10:30 at night, and it's an hour breakdown. You got to do that alone? Nah, it's really nice to have a partner there. So that's one thing that that couples get with my service is knowing that it's a two-person team, and that I will be dedicated MC. And it certainly won't be a bait and switch like, you meet the owner of the company and he sells you this $3,000 package, and then he sends his, fresh out of college DJ the day of. I did work for a multi-op like that when I first was getting started, and that was one of the things I just decided right away was not going to be cool going forward when I started my own thing, which 2010 I established Wright Weddings. So I've been doing this for 8 years or so.
So it's interesting, I'm kind of looking through, and you're walking through kind of some of these things, like you said, the introductions and even like the overlay during the dances, which I think is, really unique, right? I mean, I think that's a unique way to incorporate, your expertise into, this event that kind of makes your services stand apart. I mean, where did you kind of come up with all these things? Were they borrowed ideas? I mean, how have you kind of built this? Is it just over kind of trial and error over the years, or how does this kind of all come together?
No, it's totally plagiarized. If that's the right word. I took a very extensive, I think, 2-day seminar from the guru himself, Peter Wright of Wright Weddings. If anyone out there is just getting started or wants to learn how to take their wedding services up a notch, I recommend it 100%. Peter Wright, it was called, can't remember exactly the name of the seminar right now, but it was incredible. He blew my mind for about 2 days straight. Not surprisingly, he's flown all over the nation, if not the world, to do his weddings. And he basically laid out his whole game plan for us over the course of those 2 days, showed us everything from consultations to performing these special moments. So I just had to take it in like a sponge and start doing it and making it my own. So yeah, I've added a few of my own things here and there, but primarily it was things that I learned from that seminar that I just said, you know what, I want to do that. I'm sick of the wedding that just looks the same in and out day after day, week after week. I want to figure out how to do this. And so I did. I started taking it to my clients, and they loved the idea, and I was able to little by little charge a little bit more. And I think it's a special thing. And I write right on my website that I'm not the right choice for every couple, and that I'll talk your ears off for a good hour for free, and you can take any of my ideas if you want, and if you want me to implement them and make them happen for you, all the better. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, because I mean, it is, having a good DJ, having someone that meshes is so, I think, important to the day. I think it's something that is overlooked a lot nowadays, where people, like you said, think, oh, we got playlists, or oh, we got Spotify or whatever. And I think, finding a DJ, a personality, an MC that truly kind of meshes with, how you want your guests to experience. Maybe you want someone really funny or over the top or really subdued, or right. I mean, talk about kind of just the connection that the MC has to have with the bride and groom and to kind of carry that event out.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I offer an hour consultation at no charge and no risk, just because I want to see if you like my personality. You should think I'm funny and cool and and all that good stuff. And there's kind of two slants. Like when I do a grand entrance, the Peter Mary style is to kind of make it funny and basically kind of come up with some jokes and ridicule people, almost like a roast. And I really like that, but that's not for everybody. So sometimes it can just be more of the sentimental, romantic side. Okay, if we're not going to roast your bridal party, let's talk about what they mean to you. Who are they? How did you meet? What's their special talent? Embarrassing moment. At one time I even had the bride and groom announce it themselves, which was kind of unique. So you never know where it can go once you kind of open yourself up to new ideas and new things. It's just really fun to see those special moments that happen, uniquely for that bride and groom. I do a professional toast set to music, where I interview the bride and groom separately and have them tell their side of the story about getting together, and the moment of proposal and all that. And it's kind of like the telephone game. It's funny how the stories don't always mash up, and so I usually do kind of make fun of the groom in that moment a little bit, and that's really fun. Often I set that to music, and so that's kind of timed and choreographed with the DJ. And again, sometimes it's like you do everything that's planned on your schedule, and the sister, oh, she was adorable. She was probably like 17 or 18 years old. So the sister of the bride came up to me, tapped me on my shoulder, after all the toasts were done and we'd already had the cake, and she said, I'm ready to toast now. I want to say something. And I was like, let's do it. Get up here. It's just cool. The ring bearer, has a special dance, and it wasn't on the list, but get him up here, and the whole bridal party comes up and dances behind him, and he's Bruno Mars for 3 minutes. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that really tickles me when I see it's kind of stuff not planned show up in the day. It's really fun.
Absolutely. So how did you kind of get down this path? I mean, are you from the area? Where'd you grow up? Kind of how did you, walk me through kind of getting, down this path? Is this something, were you always into entertaining or music, or how did we find our way to Wright Weddings today?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm an East Coast boy, born and raised about an hour south of Boston. I don't really have the accent that I'm supposed to have, being from that part of the world, but maybe that makes me a little bit more universal or something. So I was, a suburban kid, living in the burbs, pretty good student. Yes, loved singing from a very early age, was performing in choirs and boys choirs and church choirs and musicals, and just really took to it early on. And I was going to be the star, damn it. I really thought I had the chops to make it in Hollywood. Fast forward to high school, 1993, and the Wu-Tang Clan came on the scene and blew everybody's mind, and including mine. And sure enough, I started writing some rhymes. And then at the age of about 25, myself and a couple other associates, friends, moved to Brooklyn, New York, and formed a little rap label and started just seeing where our dreams would take us. A lot of great shows, a lot of great memories, but not the illustrious record deal never came. So in about 2008 or 9, the hip-hop MC, Sneaky Pete, if everybody cares to look up my background. I do actually end up showing some videos to my clients too. I think they get a kick out of it. I explain how the hip-hop MC became the wedding MC. I was just a struggling, independent artist. And what I figured out was it was a lot easier to get one person to give me, at the time, about $1,000 than to get 100 people to give me 10. The cost of a ticket to come see a rap show was really difficult. Everything between, venues saying you should perform for free so more people will buy your albums, and then people wanted free music so that I would come see the show. So anywhere you looked as an artist, it kind of seemed like everybody was getting their money except me. Long story short, I was trained as a photographer somewhere in those years between college and starting my own business. And so I applied to a wedding, a big multi-op wedding company. And this guy was an evil genius, marketing-wise, because it made a lot of sense. He was paying all this money to be on the front page of bridal magazines, et cetera, et cetera. So when he finally sat down with the bride, oh man, he's going to sell them limo and photo and video and music and whatever else he could think of. And then he just kind of outsourced it to guys like me. I thought that was kind of brilliant, but also, like I said, ultimately a bit unfair to the clients, because they never really knew who their vendors were going to be until they showed up the day of. So I did that for about 3 years, and I was like, okay, I got a good base. I'm ready to go out on my own. And so this was ever before I took the Peter Mary training. I just kind of got my training on the job and thought I knew enough to get started. This guy did use the double DJ format, so I was already well versed in that and kind of knew the two different roles. And I just started going, and this was, back on the East Coast. I would say the one major thing that I found to be quite different in this area, which I've only been in for about 3 years. On the East Coast, I would say the majority of my clients were getting married in churches. And so the ceremony had already taken place, and then I was really only being hired to do the reception entertainment. Out here, it seems like more often than not, they're doing one venue ceremony, a couple hours before the reception, and they want somebody like myself to provide sound support, if not coordinate and direct ceremony as well. So I'm still kind of figuring out that piece. Trying to give the maximum value for my time without demanding that I show up and run the rehearsal, because that's like an extra day's wages and time, and getting a little bit exposing myself on weakness here. But yeah, I haven't quite figured out exactly the best way to do that. more often than not, I'm just providing like sound support for the people who want to do that, like outdoor weddings. I just think it's wonderful just to have a little bit of sound and let nature do its thing. I know that's not enough for everybody. Some people really want the ceremony mic. And maybe even you as a videographer could speak to this, because I know a lot of videographers are now, probably need the sound, recording sound for the ceremony. That's kind of how I explain it. Maybe talk to your videographer if you want all that recorded. That's not my forte.
Yeah, no, I'm currently dealing with an outdoor Snohomish wedding from Saturday. Yeah, and right as the bride is, we have the DJ and then I have my mics, but right as she's doing her vows, we get a playing overhead the whole 4 minutes. So trying to figure out how to deal with that is always fun.
Planes, wind, feedback, an outdoor setup, microphones is. It's just not as easy as plug and play like some people might think it is. So, yeah.
So what was it like kind of entering this world of weddings? I mean, I assume you didn't have a ton of experiences in terms of like kind of the pomp and circumstance and everything, experience in terms of that kind of the world. What was that like coming into that, and being doing music and kind of whatever else you had been doing up until that point?
Yeah, it was so intimidating. I had no idea that I would feel more nervous, just playing some cues at a wedding than like performing on stage. I much preferred getting out of the support DJ role and getting back to what I kind of felt more comfortable, being on the microphone, making the introductions. Again, going back to my first initial training, I was trained as the support DJ while the head of the company, performed the MC duties. And so I just watched and I saw how he interacted both on mic and off mic and how we worked the room, and learned a lot from that guy. I'm not going to say any names, but you wouldn't know him anyway. But yeah, I mean, there's so much on the line that even the smallest things, could have a large impact. Now, hopefully, the audience won't be as, critical as I am of myself, right? I mean, I'm hoping that at least if I'm like demanding 98% perfection of myself, then, that 2% may or may not go noticed by the guests. But my goal is to, like I said, do as much planning ahead of time, be ready to have my experience fill in the gaps for when the things that inevitably will happen over the course of a day that could throw you for a loop if you're not ready. So, that's another, I think, advantage of the double DJ package. The younger guys are going out with the more established, seeing how they handle pressure, how they handle disappointments, and sometimes you just got to rally back. No word of a lie. As much as I planned, there was a wedding that happened, I think it was last summer. I had the bride and groom fill out all these Google documents, and, it's all right there online. But lo and behold, we get to the wedding and we're performing the ceremony, and the 3 songs that I had were supposed to be 4 songs. So now someone's complaining that, they didn't have their entrance music. Well, what can I say? All the playing documents were filled out and signed, and I brought those, and still things can go awry. So, you do what you can do. You hustle in the moment to get something going, and hopefully the rest of the evening, overshadows or outshines the little things like that can happen. So yeah, the best laid plans can still and will surprise you. The things that can change at a moment's notice, or sometimes even like a guest doesn't show up who you were planning on, like, giving a toast, whatever happened, family members don't show up that you think, or whatever. So
Oh, our wedding on the same Saturday. They had sister of the groom. I think the ceremony was at 4:30 in Snohomish. She had her hair and makeup appointment at like 3 in Renton. We were like, and, you know, we needed family photos done. And it was like, well, I guess we're gonna do those after, you know, yeah. And I mean, how could you ever in a million years plan for that? You know, until you're sitting there and you go, you know, where's Lindsay? Oh, she's down in Renton here.
Yeah, yeah.
How was it like coming out to Seattle? What brought you out to this coast?
Well, I met my wife in. We got married in 2014.
Get it right.
Yes, August 15th, 2014. And we were both living on the East Coast. She lived in New Hampshire, about 2 hours north of me. We moved in together into her house. And that year was probably one of the worst winters, blizzards. I think the snow was around till, like May. Then, there's still like snow drifts higher than your head, in March. So we kind of looked at each other and just said, are we crazy to think we can just, rewrite the stars here, write our own destiny? We just started chatting, and she had a close friend who lived out here in Tacoma, and we came out on a holiday trip, 4th of July, that 1 year, almost a year later, said, hey, while we're here, why don't we look around at some rentals, and just found a rental that just felt right. It was available. Had the fenced-in backyard, which we were looking for because we just had purchased a dog, and everything just kind of seemed to fall into place. We went back home, found a realtor, sold our house, and we're living out here. 3 months later, just did it. Just went for it. Living on a wing and a prayer, literally.
Was it hard to transition the business out here?
Well, right along with the unexpected pleasures that sometimes arrive in our lives, I just kind of started, hitting up the Facebook groups and joining on conversations. And a pretty established DJ out here, Scott Vajolik, kind of saw me and just really liked what I was doing, and kind of reached out to me and said, hey, I got some extra gigs. When I get double booked, I really like to tell them your name and pass it along to you. And I said, yeah, sure, buddy. Yeah. I kid you not. I mean, I have like 4 or 5 inquiries coming in a week just off that. He's the man. What can I say? We talk on Facebook and share ideas, and he's really been a nice partner, associate to have out here. And then I don't know. I guess I got my what do you call that? Search engine optimization down just good enough that the other half of the inquiries just say, oh, I found you on Google. I said, I guess. All right, cool. Like I said, I always try to convince, or at least offer, highly encourage new inquiries to talk to me like this on a phone call or even a video chat, and learn a little bit more about how I do things, why I do things the way I do, and I just kind of leave it at that. I think it's pretty obvious to me, if not to them, that it's a good fit after that hour. And then I say, if this feels right and you want to move forward, let me know and we'll do it. So I'm very soft sell, very open with my information. Like I said, I'll give you 1,000 ideas. If you like half of them, great. We'll make it happen. Throw the rest away. But I am not. How should I say it? I'm at the luxury where I don't have to work every weekend. So I have some other ventures going at the same time. So I really do get to kind of interview my clients as they interview me, and that allows me a little bit of flexibility when it comes to um, do I need to take this gig just to make $300? No, I don't. I've got other options of things to do that day, including hang out with my family on a Saturday. So I wait for the right match, the right fit, and it's been really nice. If you're just getting started, I've heard people say like you should just take any gig at any price, just to get things rolling. And I did that for a couple of years, and I didn't do that even though I was starting new in a new area. I did feel like I was going to kind of hold myself to a certain way of doing things and not just go backwards in terms of doing weddings on my own or at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of inquiries coming in right now for whatever reason, where it's like, my DJ bailed on me and my budget is X amount of dollars. And I go, ugh, perhaps your budget is indicative of the kind of DJ who would bail on you. So the other thing I offer right when someone contacts me is a PDF that I've created basically to kind of explain some good practices for interviewing a DJ, what to expect at the different price points, and again, like why I'm kind of like at this premium level and I'm not for everyone, but hey, I guarantee you it'll be a night you won't soon forget, and your friends will talk about it, and you'll want to refer me if you let me do it my way, the right way.
No, it is the hardest thing, for any vendor type to see these things. And like you said, well, whatever, I was going to get all this stuff for this amount of money, and now I'm trying to find the same thing again. And like you said, it's probably because of, that price and why they decided to do it that, they ended up doing it that way.
Well, I'm sure every vendor probably feels this way, but maybe I'm right in thinking the DJs have it extra hard because, even wedding DJ is a bit of a misnomer, as I've already talked about a bit. The DJ part is about 30%. The other part is the planning and the hosting and the performing and the directing of all the events. So it kind of confuses me when people would even think that a bride who's probably doing this event for the first time, maybe the only time in her life, should know what things cost. Generally, they don't. My wife included, before she met me, thought it was outrageous that I wanted to spend the kind of money I wanted to spend on our wedding DJ. And then I explained to her, well, they're not just playing music, they gotta. So that's why I kind of offer the 45-minute free consultation, just to offer some education. And again, there's no hard feelings if you go back to a $700 budget, but it's not going to get me on the scene.
No, even when Dorothy and I got married, I had to go through similar things and trying to explain to her, why things cost and why things, why we needed to do this and that. And I'm like, don't you think that you would, trust what I was saying, or at least give a little more credence to it than anybody else? But it's like, if I can't hard sell my wife on it, then I don't know if I can hard sell anybody.
She totally wanted the $500 DJ. And I was like, babe, I'm a professional DJ. We're not doing that.
Yeah, what was your wedding like? Talk me through that.
Oh, we did something kind of crazy. We had basically like a destination wedding. So everybody had to drive a significant way to come meet us. And then because I am a wedding DJ, I had a lot of ideas that I wanted to implement, but I also know I wasn't going to be trying to DJ/perform at my own wedding. So I did hire another company to do exactly what I wanted them to do. So I had the whole thing kind of planned out, and pretty much, I like I said, plan detail my wedding, but had someone else actually be the host. We used my equipment even because, again, it was a destination wedding. So I said, hey, would you knock a little bit off the price if you can just show up and basically everything's there for you? And so we did that. It was okay. It was, no one's as good as me, obviously. No one's going to do it perfect the way I wanted them to do it. But, yeah, it was fun. We did a little performance at our wedding too. The Frozen movie was all the rage at the time, so I made my wife learn the "Love Is an Open Door" duet, and we sang that together. Hopefully, she forgave me for that one. No, I think it was great. I think she got into it.
That's putting, I remember that summer when the Frozen, that's putting me in the time and place now when all those weddings. And I'm right there with you in the summer of whatever year that was, the 2014.
And that, again, like I always look for those things too. I would love to find out if there's someone in your bridal party or whatever in your family that has a special talent, wants to, serenade you in some way or do a comedy routine or, whatever it is. I think that's all those things can really add a lot of value and fun memories when you involve the people in your life. I come from, like I said, kind of a musical performance family. My parents and siblings also kind of surprised me with this kind of old mod rendition of a bunch of songs that we had sung growing up and put them all together in a medley and embarrassed me, incredibly, but it was all in good fun. So, that's the kind of fun line you're dancing along to, is like, it's the bride and groom's day. It's their special day. It's all about them, except that it's not. Because you have all these people there. And so that's the other thing I have to kind of try to present in a fun way, is that as your host and DJ, I do know it works for most people most of the time. I'd like you to trust me to some extent that I know what I'm doing. But of course, I need at least 10 of your favorite songs that you personally are going to guarantee me you're going to grab people's, arms and lead them to the dance floor when these songs come on, because I don't know what those songs are for you and your family. But that's why it's a collective team effort, and that's really what I like about it is hearing those stories, learning what's going to make that day special, and hopefully I can kind of lead you to some new things you wouldn't have thought about if you never talked to me. You being the bride and groom, obviously. So yeah, I really like those consultations and learning. I'll get a new idea, like, you sing opera. Oh, okay. Well, how are we going to work that into the wedding? Yeah, that's fun.
What kinds of couples do you find, like you said, you like to make sure it's a good fit, you like to make sure you guys are on the same wavelength. What kinds of couples do you find are attracted to kind of your style of work and that you're attracted to work with? What kind of couples do you like to do?
Yeah. Well, I'll throw a story out there that I think I learned a lot from. It's not necessarily that I need a big budget wedding. Conversely, whatever the word is, one of my favorite weddings was someone who wasn't spending a lot of money, but they did see the value of what I was bringing to the table. So they had, tacos in a bag for dinner, and didn't spend a lot of money on flowers and venue stuff, but basically wanted my best package and doing all the customizing that I did, and just really wanted the value to shine through like that. Now, we did uplighting for them and things like that, which I do think adds some nice little flavors. But I almost wrote them off, and I see online sometimes people being written off again because I think DJs maybe don't know the right questions to ask. Like, why would you ask a couple, like, what's your budget? I just think that that's that's shooting both of you guys in the foot, because now they've put out a number and they don't really know what that number gets them, and now you have to tell them, ooh, well, that's half of what I charge, and then now everybody's embarrassed. So I really try to dodge slash have people be patient to talk about price till we just talk about, like, what do you want? What do you want from the day? What do you think is going to make this day special for you? So doing a lot of question asking and listening and taking notes, and then just being honest about, like, hey, sounds like really all you want is a DJ, so I'm probably not right for you. Or, oh wow, yeah, oh, you guys have an amazing love story, and everybody's going to laugh when they hear it. Do you have someone who can tell it? Or, that's part of my service, is that I can tell it for you in a special way. And people are like, oh, great. And then I have a video to show them too. So I'm not just like blowing smoke. I've taken the time to make some nice videos. And so, I make these available even before the consultation. So hopefully anyone who comes to my website has taken the time to watch those and already comes to the meeting kind of excited about doing their wedding in a special, fun way. So that's what I've made available, again, so that I'm not wasting people's time. And I understand kind of the millennial bride, if you want to call her that, like, maybe doesn't want to take 5 or even 3 meetings with a DJ. She just kind of wants to have all that information laid out in front of her. So yeah, again, half the time you get an inquiry, at least me, it's like, are you available and what's the cost? Just because they probably don't know any better questions to ask. So we'll get to that, but let me ask you some questions. That's kind of how that's how I find out if somebody's really interested in the kind of services, customized high-end services that I offer.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's so tough. Like you said, nowadays, I don't know if it's a millennial thing or 2019. We had a inquiry the other day it was like late next summer. And so I figured, well, I'll hit them up, and then, I don't like to, bombard them too much. And then, I hit them up again. And it's like, oh yeah, we already booked, like, whatever. And I was like, oh wow. I was like, you guys, because it's that tough balance between, do you not slow play, but do you kind of just chat with them, or, what do you do? So it's always interesting nowadays. I'm always curious to kind of hear, other vendors and kind of their takes on that too. So that's interesting feedback.
You've seen swingers where they have that conversation about how often to follow up with the girl they got the numbers. I think,
what did they come up with?
I think 3 days is money. I think 3 days. Like, what do you wait? Like 7 days? 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Yeah, I don't know. You gotta, like, it's impossible. Yeah, I think it's just for me. If they're on my mind, then I have a right just to ask. Hey, are you still thinking about this? Or if there's any questions, I can ask. But yeah, you're right. There's a certain, so many times you can do that before you kind of take a hint that, like, we're going a different direction, or whatever people say. So I offer an opportunity to put down a deposit right after the consultation, but like I said, I just make it an invitation. I say, if you want, that's how you book me. That's how you make sure that I'm available on your day, to put down some money. That's how we know we're in business. Other than that, no, we'll talk. And I can't say the date until you put down some money. That's a kind of basic good business in my mind. Now that's come, my niceness, quote unquote, has come back to bite me a few times, where I've probably overextended my grace to some people, giving them lots of time to ultimately decide I'm going to go another way. But yeah, I don't know.
That's funny. What do you kind of getting near the end here? What do you wish more people knew about you? When you're not DJing, like you said, you have a family, a dog. What do you guys do? What kind of rounds out the other part of your life when you're not doing weddings?
I love soccer, playing and watching. Again, I've kind of put this life behind me now, but I'm very well versed in 90s hip hop. So when those gigs come along, it's like a joy. I'm doing a 40th birthday party in about 2 weeks, and I'll get to play all those fun songs like Salt and Pepper and It Takes Two. So that's what I naturally gravitate to, like when I'm in my own car. But I think another thing about being a wedding DJ is just opening myself up to lots of different genres. I was never really into country music. Am not into country music, but once in a while I get someone who wants like a lot of country music, and I go get to do some research and find out, okay, why do people like this stuff? It all sounds the same to me, but I'm sure people say that about hip hop. I mean, I don't know. What else do I like? I do really like the area. I think Tacoma has been a wonderful place to move for us. Having 2 dogs, leashless, they're like hunting dogs. I mean, we're out sometimes an hour, if not 2 hours a day, and that's like really kind of changed my whole lifestyle of having, these animals that really need energy. They need to work off some energy, I should say. So if we don't take them out, they tear up our house. So that's kind of fun. And I don't know, maybe something about dog people. I'm a dog person. Okay, all the cat haters can hate on me now, but I'm a dog person. So if you see me in the park, I've always got a dog, and my dogs are actually really trainable. So I prefer to have them off leash, and so that stirs some interesting conversations because some people don't do that, and some people do that. So just all the fun conversations I get to have with other dog owners and talking about our dogs, our fur babies, as we call them. And then my daughter, my youngest daughter, is about to turn 3, so I'm just kind of spending as much time with her as I can, and teaching her about music, and just can't wait to see what. I have 2 other kids too. I should throw them in there, but they don't look up to me the way she does.
Trying to influence her in the 90s hip hop and rap.
Exactly.
Trying to get that going. I'm
gonna have her doing some ODB here.
That's funny. This is perfect. This has been great. I want to thank you so much. I know we've gone back and forth, I think for months, really, about trying to get something scheduled.
I hope we get to do a gig together soon. That'd be fun. I really do. I've dabbled in the video world myself, and so I love watching wedding videos at the end. Mostly the music video style ones. I think those are really fun. And getting to see maybe a clip of me in the back doing something stupid like the cha-cha slide or whatever. I am that DJ too, by the way. Yes, I get out there, and if you want me to, I'll teach you how to do the Cupid shuffle or whatever. I got no, I don't have an embarrassed bone in my body for having been a stage performer for so many years. I'm down to be as crazy as you want me to be. So it's like being a professional party crasher is really what I think I am.
I love it. It's perfect. Well, if people are interested in learning more about your party crashing, wedding DJ, and MC style, and would want to check out, like you said, I think you have a really listed out kind of everything that comes with it and the videos and stuff. Where would you have them check out and get in touch with you? Go on the World Wide Web at Wright Weddings, WRIGHT, my last name, with a weddings with an S, wrightweddings.com. You only get one chance to do it right. I love it. And also, like Facebook and Instagram and everything too. We got the Facebook and the Instagram too, but really where I've packed all that information, the videos and the a la carte / price fix menu stuff, and really, get a sense of how we do what we do. And, you should have more than enough to bite into if you just go to the website and look around for 10, 15 minutes. Yep. Perfect. Well, thank you so much again for scheduling this and for coming on. This has been another episode of Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. If you are like Peter and you're interested in coming on and kind of sharing your story, I have a really nice, easy questionnaire at www.bestmadevideos.com/podcast guest. And that's a really nice and convenient way to kind of get your information in, and I can reach out if you're interested in coming on. So thank you so much again, and I hope you enjoy a summer full of kids and other fun activities that we were talking about before we were recording today.
Thanks, Reed. Wu-Tang forever.
This has been another episode. Check back next week for another Wedding Better interview. Thanks so much.